What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. We're really excited for this episode. It was an awesome episode. I definitely recommend that you listen through to the end. There's a lot of great information that's really going to help you out in your journey to become a better cornhole player. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Triple Crown. We really appreciate their support and their sponsorship for this channel. And also, if you guys would like some flop merch, just go to the Teespring link down below. Check it out. We got some new designs up on the site. And if you guys enjoy this video, please like the video, comment down below. We love engaging with you guys. We love seeing what you guys think about the videos, what you want to hear about in the future, and just talking to you guys in general. So definitely keep spreading the love, and I really hope that you guys enjoy this video. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Flop. This is episode 9. What division should I be playing in? I think this is going to be an awesome episode. Everybody, I want to introduce you to our good friend, Justin Craven. How are you doing, man?
Hey, bud, I'm doing pretty good. How you doing out there?
Dude, I'm doing great. Really glad to have you on. Justin, I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you know my dad, and yeah, we'll jump into this thing, man.
All right. My name's Justin Craven. Obviously, I'm the ACL West Tennessee 901 Nation regional director here in Memphis, West Tennessee. I'm sorry. I've been doing that for about a year. This will be my second season. We started about halfway through the season last year. Got partnered up with 901 Nation. They took me in, and we've been running regionals ever since and local events. As far as your dad, though, I met that knucklehead at Whiskey Jack's.
Okay.
Catfish used to run a blind draw there, like before the bar opened. It would be like 5 o'clock in the afternoon in a dim lit cowboy dance bar club, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And Rob was real quiet at first. He's a super quiet dude. And we played against each other a couple times, and somehow I got his number, and it's still to this day in my phone as Rob Whiskey Jack's Cornhole.
Yeah, we've come so far since then. So
yeah, I mean, we're like best friends now.
Right.
But we got in touch there, partnered up, and I guess we partnered up because we were equally kind of terrible and just starting out, so we didn't want to try to ask anybody better for partners. But it's turning out good. We're actually both improving. So
We are. We're gonna just quick shout out. We took down our first regional yesterday, competitive division. So we did the thing. It's been a long time coming, man. Just me and Craven. We just could never be hot at the same time. And every event we'd go to, he'd be just throwing amazing, and I'd be all over the place, or it'd be vice versa. But yesterday, we're recording this on Sunday, but yesterday we went, and both of us were in the zone, and it was awesome. And I feel like I just ran. I think the thrill of that doubles event just zapped me, because I went into singles and it was just like, But it was a lot of fun, man. I love throwing with you. So we're glad to have you on the show today.
Enjoyed it. Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Congratulations, guys. That's awesome. That's really hard to do out there at 901. There's a ton of great competition. So yeah, you're not getting through that bracket without some serious good playing. So really great job on that. So yeah, today we are going to be answering the question, what division should I be playing in? And we were going to do this episode on our own, but we kind of thought, we're not really qualified to talk about this. So we wanted to bring in an ACL director, and we wanted to ask you some questions about what it looks like when you guys are going through the data and deciding who plays where, when am I moving somebody up? When am I, where does somebody need to be? So the first question I wanted to ask is, does the ACL in general, the whole organization, do a good job of automatically regulating who is in the correct division? Because you'll see people that just automatically get bumped up, and then you'll see directors do it. So what happens when you get automatically bumped up?
Okay, so in short, the answer to that question is yes, the ACL does a good job of regulating it. Why in short? because you still get one or two that slips through. You'll still have a small percentage of sandbaggers. What the ACL does, they have a guy. I don't know what his actual job title is, but he's 100% completely dedicated to tracking every single bag thrown in the ACL. If you're using the bag tracker at a regional or a open or conference or any ACL event, he's tracking your bag. I get sent a spreadsheet, Excel form. It's got like 6 different tabs at the bottom. It's tab of players we're moving up, tab of players that have won first or second in more than 2 divisions, a tab of players that are throwing PPR higher than what the guideline of PPR for that division is. It's a tab of players who've just been on a heater the last 2 months, but to keep an eye on. There's a tab for players that have finished on the podium in a division above what their division is on their profile.
Okay, yeah.
So he's tracking all that, man, and he sends me these spreadsheets. I get it about once a week. He gets it updated, and to see how many people are actually throwing ACL is insane. Then seeing how many people he's having to keep eyes on.
Yeah.
And it's not keeping eyes on people because the ACL's out to get sandbaggers or they think there's so many sandbaggers. It's because the ACL was designed to grow. And to grow, you can't have your big fish eating all your little fish, or you're just going to have a pond of big fish. So what they do is they really, really push from the regional and conference directors to try to keep your intermediates, your competitive, advanced, so that, it's got that opportunity for growth. They developed a hell of a software, a hell of a system with the bag tracker, and the actual tournament software itself doesn't even compare to Scoreholio or Brackalope. It's so much more in depth. There's so much more like breakdown of what they use, or, how they determine. I mean, they keep up with your bags on, off, in, what you scored per round. Like it's crazy how much is entered into just to run a single tournament. But yeah, they've got a guy that that's all he does that I know of. He sends me an updated spreadsheet once a week. I'm just like, whoa, bro.
It seems like that's a full-time job. So I wouldn't even downplay if that's all he does, because like you said, I mean, shoot, you got 80, 90 people coming to a regional. He's got regionals across the entire country that he's doing the same thing for. So that's a big deal.
That's awesome, man. That's I'm really glad to hear that. I didn't know that. And so that's really cool, because what division people should be playing in is seriously one of the biggest conversations that you're going to hear as a regional goes on. We were talking, before we went live, and like, it's the main thing you hear. It's just buzz, 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 buzz. This guy is throwing, 8 whatever in intermediate, like, everybody's gossiping about it. It's the talk of the town. So I would love to kind of put some of these rumors to rest, because I mean, seriously, like, the ACL is an extremely professional organization, and they have amazing instruments to measure how well you're performing and where you should be placed. And so people need to start having more trust in this organization. And, one of the main themes that I kind of wanted to talk about in this episode is you cannot look at someone's performance on one day and tell them that they should be in a different division. The data is measured across a much larger amount of time than that. So, it's really, you just can't do it in one day.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely not. Like, just a small example, like we said off camera, we had a guy yesterday at the regional who in that time we could tell he needed to play up, but not necessarily needed to move up. He needed to play up. Like, you're in doubles right now, you're clearly better than every intermediate player in doubles. You should probably just move up for this regional in singles and see how you shake out. Well, the guy ended up beating me in singles. That's not saying much, but
dang it,
he got me. But just small stuff like that. Yeah, to say the ACL doesn't, people don't know what the regional and conference directors know. There's also an IT guy that's working on this software like nonstop around the clock. He's taken we have a group on Facebook. It's all the directors in ACL, and everybody's always, spitfiring ways to improve the system. And he's always proactive. He's taking, suggestions. He's making updates. They are dialed in on the software, and it's not perfect yet, but it's getting there. And when it's perfect, it's gonna there's not gonna be anything that compared to it. It's crazy.
Yeah, right. I mean, and it's like you said too, you can't take, you really have to take more than just a day to show, because as all of us here are, we're trying to get better, and we're doing the work, we're doing the practice, and we're trying to get better, but we're still wildly inconsistent. We're going to throw a 4-bagger, absolutely, but we're also going to throw occasional 2 out of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is like, you just can't say, oh well, this person's, they're absolutely thrown out of their mind today, so the next regional they need to go ahead and be in advance, because that's not necessarily the case. The next regional they may come out and come back down to earth, and be throwing much lower PPR. So it's so important that everyone, and we're all bad about it. We've all made the joke. We've all gotten next to the guy on the board and been like, wow, you're throwing really good for competitive, or you're throwing really good for intermediate. And we're not realizing that this is one snapshot. We also need to take into account, how are we throwing? Because it's easy to look at somebody who's beating you and say, wow, you're throwing really well. Well, that's kind of giving you a whole lot of credit, because that's like you saying, I am a very good player and you are beating me, sir. So you shouldn't be in this division that I'm in.
Exactly.
Because I should be winning. But then what does that say about the guy that you're beating like that? He's thinking the same thing. So yeah, it's really important. And it's cool to hear. It's cool to hear that you guys as directors have this group, and you're all, talking with one another and bouncing these ideas off of each other, because I know Craven, he spends a lot of his time in the day fielding these kinds of questions. And so it's good to know that, he's not only not alone, but there are a mass of people who are fielding these same questions and trying to make the software better, because you're taking the human element out of it. Someone can only get by so long throwing in the wrong division in the ACL, because the tracker is going to catch you. It's coming. You can get away with it for a minute, but it's coming, and you're going to get put where you need to be. So that's cool.
Yep. Something I wanted to say, if you guys are concerned about where you're placed, what division you should be playing in, or you just want to get better in general at all, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you get ACL Platinum. I just got it, and I've been playing without it for a while, and I'm telling you, it changes everything. It is the most humbling thing that you will ever subject yourself to. When you actually see what you're doing on the board, and you realize, somebody's like, oh, you're throwing really good for intermediate. It's like, yeah, that's because you were throwing a 4.7 and I'm liable to do the same thing the next round. But the thing is you don't know that if you don't have access to the data, because we all in cornhole, we all wake up at the house early in the morning. I'm making coffee. I'm thinking about how I'm going to win this tournament today. We live like we're the star of this movie. And like you said, you're giving yourself too much credit, saying like, oh, you're playing too well to being competitive or whatever. It's like, wow. Like, you don't have very much humility. You don't have very much respect for like how well this player is doing. And then also you're not living in reality. And what the ACL app allows you to do is it allows you to see reality. And so a lot of my complaints completely vanished once I got this app and realized what was actually happening on the board.
You're absolutely right. Platinum is invaluable if you're trying to get better. If you're just a casual player who wants to show up to the ACL event and just throw some bags, probably not a big deal for you. But if getting better is your goal, and I know it is for all of us right now on this call, getting better is the goal. We want to be better. I want to be able to play competitively in the advanced division. That's my goal. But it's virtually impossible to get better if you can't see what you're doing, and you come out. Justin, we've talked about it before. You feel like, oh my God, I threw out of my mind that game. I can't believe how good I threw. I mean, I must have four-bagged 100 times, and I don't think I missed a shot. You go back in and you look at your game in the ACL app, the Platinum app, and you realize, okay, I threw an 8.4. So that's that's good. But in my head, that ain't what I thought. That ain't what I threw. Like, it was a 10-5 easy. I was throwing a 10-5 easy. And then you see the numbers, and yes. And for me, Platinum enabled me. I remember, and I talked to Zach about it. I said, that is a humbling experience. Humbling is the best way to put it, Zach, because you can feel like you're throwing out of your mind. And then you look and you realize, no, I threw pretty decent, but not out of my mind. It gave me a whole new respect. An 8.5 is an incredible average to have for a day for us. But it gave me so much more respect for people who are throwing 9s. It gave me so much more respect for people who are throwing 10s. It's like, it's so hard to do that. It's so hard to do that consistently,
Yeah, I'm about to just start having my phone. I'm going to screenshot my overall PPR. And when someone says that to me next to me, I'm going to hold my bags. I'm not even going to look at them. I'm going to show my phone while I'm looking at the board, my PPR, and then I'm going to throw my next bag 6.03 or whatever. I'm gonna be like, stop talking to me about this, dude. Like, it's freaking crazy, man. Yeah, I've got my own struggles right now. Like, I'm not worried about you. Trust me. Like, don't worry about me.
Yeah, you're right though.
Yeah. So
that's a big problem.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's the biggest problem at regional level with division is it's always somebody else complaining about somebody else. Like, I've got people in advanced division complaining about somebody in the competitive division. Well, I structure my payouts to where advanced is going to get paid more than competitive. And you get more points for playing in advanced than you do winning competitive. So there's really no point for you to, on paper, sandbag. If you want to pick up a quick $50-$60, I got it. But if you're that advanced player, why are you worried about what that dude's doing down in competitive? Like, let him go be a sandbagger or whatever he is. If you're striving to go up, why are you worried about anybody else? Just go throw your bags.
And it's just one less person for you to have to worry about in advance. So you throw your bags. You're good. You do you, buddy.
Heck yeah. So the next question I want to ask you, Justin, is clearly the ACL does an amazing job, at the highest level, but what do directors like you, what do you do to manage the players to make sure everything's fair across the board?
Like I said, I don't know if it was when we first started or we were off topic, or off camera, there's always one or two that are going to get through. You're always going to get a sandbagger through. You can't get everybody. Like I was saying a minute ago, not everybody is going to be pleased no matter what you do, whether I move somebody up, whether the ACL moves them up, whether my conference director moves them up, somebody's going to complain about it and somebody's not going to be happy about it. Like, I try to let people win at that division, get 2 wins in your division, then play your next 2 regionals in the division above. Don't move up, just play them up. See how you do. Mm-hmm. You go up there and you get smoked, keep your butt in intermediate. You go up there and you compete, it's time for you to make that move, Sorry, been getting over a little bit of a cold too.
Good, man.
and no sleep the last 2 days. Good grief.
Right.
But to keep it fair, I try to let the ACL do their business and let them move them. But I know everybody in our group. Our group's a pretty big group. We got a surrounding group with 870, another surrounding group with 662. Mm-hmm. Pretty big group from Missouri, the Boot Hill, that came down yesterday. Big group there. Then we got some guys out towards Nashville. So I pretty much well know everybody in my group. If I get a random stranger come in or a traveler come in that I don't know, he's probably got the best chance at sandbagging me. But for the most part of the people that I know, hey man, you're an advanced player. You're gonna play advanced. You're competitive. Sweet. You play And plus, I got a partner, Mary Cummins. If you're in the wrong division, she gonna let you know about it.
Mary ain't having it.
I've heard stories.
She ain't having it. Like, you could be having a hot day, but she gonna watch you all day long and see, hey, it wasn't just he had a hot day. He's good. I watched him. He rolling bags. He airmailing. He ain't just hot. He's good. So, knowing everybody helps that. But my biggest thing, and this might come up later to be a topic, but you mentioned the Platinum being such a good source and a good tool for improvement. That ACL Player app is huge. I don't know if you guys use it that much, but there's so many different tools on there, and one of them being the deck around. I try to get everybody to throw deck arounds. Not a lot of people do it. It's kind of boring. It's hard to kind of stay focused, but a deck around to me is more than your PPR. It's more than your wins, losses, because that's just you and an open board. You can cheat it and say you made 4 in every time if you want to, but that ain't helping you. You look at my deck around right now, it's like a 7.2, and that might be on the high side. Like, sometimes I'll get in the 80s. I'll throw in the 80s on a deck round. Then I'll turn around and throw 57 or 59. Like, where did that even come from?
Yeah.
But that just shows you, hey, he's got the capability of being good, but he's not all the way there. He's not consistent enough to stay there. He's got the potential, but he's more so around here because his consistency sucks.
Yep.
So I tell people
consistency.
That deck around is huge.
Yeah. I'm going to try to do that, man. That's a really good suggestion.
Yeah. To be honest, I've played Ghost in there, but I haven't done a deck around in a hot minute. So I need to do a deck around myself. That's a great point.
The way I do my deck around is you throw, your 10 rounds, you get 4 bags, you throw, and it gives you what your total points are at the end. And I had it wrote down, but so 75 to 90 in that range is competitive range. I'm more in the 60 to 75 intermediate range, but I play up in competitive because I'm trying to compete with those guys on their level. So I just went ahead and moved myself up. But that's a really, really good tool because it calculates. It doesn't just keep up with that deck around. It keeps up with every deck around you throw. So my average over the last year it shows you improvement over time. Like when I started, I was a solid 60. Like I said, now I'm at 71.2 or 72.3, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But it shows you every single round you've thrown. You can go back. It's like, oh, my first throw, I threw a 12. I came out hot. Then threw a 10. Man, what was I doing? Oh, there's that 4.
Yeah.
2. Dang, where did that 2 come from? Look at every round. Like,
damn it.
I started high. If I could have just done that every time.
Yeah.
But that deck around is what I really try to push on people just because it gives you an honest gauge of where you're at.
I think it's great. Yeah.
Is that really something helpful. Is that within the ACL app that you can do the deck arounds?
Yes, it's on the home screen. It's one of the tabs on there, but you just click it and click start, and it'll bring up the scoreboard that looks just like the bag tracker.
Okay.
So you throw your 4 bags, and if it was 2 in, 2 on, you put 2 in, 2 on, and roll on.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm going to do that for sure. That's really cool.
So you got, I think it's right. Where's practice tools? Practice tools?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go in there, and then
start deck around
tracker right here. Okay, and then there's your bag tracker.
I can show you mine, but cool. I'm using my phone.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Oh yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah, I think
I thought about pulling it up. So
so I think people also underestimate what it's like to actually play at a regional. The nerves 100%. And stuff are definitely very different.
100%.
And if you've played cornhole for longer than a minute, you've heard, I was throwing great at the house, and then followed by whatever, happens next in that sentence. But yeah, it's definitely a different experience. And you can't just, say I was throwing, this great at the house, I should be playing in competitive. That's like, you gotta get out there and you got to actually make it happen. You have to actually play the games and see.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. Because that solid competitive deck around can translate to a wildly low intermediate showing at a regional real easy.
Yeah.
Real easy.
So Justin, you would say that the deck around is probably the best measuring tool over PPR, over, DPR, everything like that.
Me personally, that's just my personal opinion. Everybody's kind of got their different view on it. Some directors really hammer in and hone in on the PPR. Some really I know y'all know Alan Rockwell passed away, ACL great. He was a regional director. His thing was, if you win 2 singles in your division, you're going up. You could win doubles as many times as you want, blind draws as many times as you want, because that could go off you could just have a really good partner.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So his rule of thumb was, you win 2 single turn regionals, you're up. And that's a good way to look at it. But I've also got a handful of players right now that have 1-2 intermediates that they could go up to competitive, but they would be at the bottom of competitive for a little while, and they would have a struggle for a little while. And I've got a couple players that are actually going through that struggle right now, and I'm battling the whole, screw it, I don't want to play if it's going to be like I'm just donating money. You're not you're donating money if you don't want to get better. If you want to get better, you stick through this struggle, you fight it out, and you get to the other side, which is at the top of competitive. Then you make your move to advanced. A lot of people don't want to do that work. They don't want to grind, and they don't want to deal with going 0-2. I can't tell you how many times I went 0-2. Like that could be my name. I could be 0-2. Hey, yo, 0-2.
We're the 0-2 crew, bro.
I swear.
Me and you.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome, man. I really appreciate you saying that. This is just like, we got to be real with ourselves, and you have to decide what you actually want. Are you trying to play the best competition possible, or are you trying to, like you said earlier, get a quick 50, $60? I think, for the most part, this community, people that watch this show, we're trying to play the best possible competition we can. If I could play in advanced, you bet I would be in advance, and I would be trying to compete with those guys. And I want to right now. My brain is way bigger than my capacity to actually, play. But it's just like, I don't see why people would want to, settle and not be as good as they can be.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to me. That's part of the big argument is the deck around is work. It's practice, because you're throwing by yourself, and you throw that first 10 rounds and you're like 65. You're not satisfied with a 65. You're not going to not throw another round. You're going to throw another round, and it's either going to be a point or 2 better, or maybe you had a good round and you were in your 70s. And it gets kind of addicting. Then you're like, man, let me throw another round and see what I'm doing. So it turns into a grind, because I'll sit out there for 2 hours just throwing straight deck rounds, trying to beat my last one, or it's constantly watching my average, trying to get my average up. So
heck yeah,
it's part of the work. But like I was saying earlier, a lot of people don't want to do the work. They just want to complain and then say, "Oh, y'all, it's rigged. It's a system." Do you practice? Do you throw bags at home, or do you just go to a blind draw twice a week? Because there's a handful of players in the world that just go to a blind draw twice a week and are really good. Right. 90%, 98% of the 99% of the elite are putting in the work. Exactly.
And you know why they want to complain about the process? Because that's easier than actually putting in the work. It's just easier to just complain. It's easier for it to be somebody else's problem why I'm not succeeding, which I think that can also, go outside of the world of cornhole. It's just easier to say that the reason I'm not doing well is because it's this person's problem. But you're absolutely right, Craven. When you talk about you have a handful of people who can go to a couple of blind draws and do well, to take that a step further, how good would you be doing if you were practicing and you were putting in work? So you're already good and you're only going to a couple of blind draws. Get out there in the yard, a couple extra hours a week and see how much better you're doing, So for me, I don't think you can substitute practice. I think it cures a
all.
lot of ills. So
Definitely. So, Justin, as far as the divisions go, off the top of your head, what, just for people listening that may not want to like go and research it, off the top of your head, what's the PPR for the different divisions, just so people can know?
All right. So the ACL guideline base, kind of tree diagram, however you want to say it, is an eight PPR or higher, you should be throwing advanced. That's not saying because you threw an 8 one time, you're an advanced player. If you're averaging over an 8 PPR, you should be an advanced. Now, an 8 PPR, 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, you're going to be the lower end of advanced. But that goes back to the part of the process. You have to work through that part. You have to play the guys that are throwing 9s, the guys that are into the 10s. Like, that's you made it to this stage. Now, did you just want to make it there, or do you want to get to the top of that stage? So just because you make it to advance because you're finally throwing an 8 doesn't mean you stop grinding, because you're going to be playing the killers. Then you're playing pros. You're playing guys that are almost like, once you get to advance, you got there. So there's almost a 0% chance you're going back down because you made it there, unless you just stop playing and fall off the planet, you know?
Right.
But then you got the competitive, which is a 7 to an 8 PPR. And this is where your really good players fall that lack full consistency. They can hit an airmail. They can hit a roll bag. They can hit a good push shot. You know, they're pretty good up the middle. But they lack that. They can do it and get a 7 PPR, but they can't do it and get a 10 or a 9. You know, they can every now and then, just not all the time.
Right.
And then intermediate is your 6 to 7. It's same way as in advanced and in competitive. You know, once you make that move up, once you get to 7.1, you're now competitive, but you're going to be playing with the 7.8s and the 7.9s and the guys that are pushing into that advance. And same way in intermediate, you know, 6 to 7 is really good. That's a good player, just a little below competitive, which I don't say better or worse. I just say less consistent. Each division is consistency. The advanced players are really consistent. Competitive players are consistent. Intermediate, a little less consistent. And the novice people are like, they're either the drunk guys from the backyard or they just one on, which not knocking anybody. You start somewhere, but
for sure.
They're the least consistent of the group, and they're everything below a 6, I would say, would be novice.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I think it lines up too. It's like you said, it's really at that point, it's intermediate, competitive, advanced. The one defining trait is that consistency, because a good solid middle of the road intermediate player is going to throw a 4-bagger every once in a while. You know, they're going to have 10s, they're going to throw 9s. It's just, they're just way more inconsistent, you know? And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. And consistency is definitely something that, you know, I know we all struggle to find, and we want to find it, but that is truly the difference, because an advanced player, you know, they're gonna get their 10 and 12s every round. It's just, it is what it is. Us in competitive, we're going to do it too. We're going to throw a 10, we're going to throw a 12, but we're also going to throw a 4, you know, and it might just be a dirty board situation or whatever, but we're going to throw a 4, we're going to throw a 3, you know, it's happening. It's going to happen. And then intermediate, just more so. But you're absolutely right. I think that's a great indicator of where you know, one of the good indicators of where you should be is that consistency.
Yeah, Justin, and I really like what you said about how when you reach a certain skill level, people think that they've made it and they're just going to throw great all the time now, because now I made it to advanced, or now I made it to competitive, or whatever. It's like, you had to work so hard to get here. What makes you think that you're not going to have to continue to work hard to be where you want to be in this division? You know, there is no light at the end of the tunnel. We're all chasing a light that we're never going to reach, and that's perfection. And so we really need to relax, get ready to get on the grind. And honestly, if you don't want to grind, then, you know, you're just going to have to accept that you're going to stay the same.
I think honestly, once you get to advanced, it almost requires more effort to stay there because everybody else is working, you know, and it's like you said, Zach, you know, there's really no mountaintop. It's somebody's always going to be better than you. And I think that we have seen that to be true because arguably, you know, some of the best players in the world can be beaten on a given day.
Yep.
So yeah, you're the benchmark, you're the greatest, but on a certain day, somebody else is better than you. So you've got to work hard to take that spot back over. And it's just, it's a constant ebb and flow. And so, yeah, you never get to quit working. In cornhole, in any other sport, you never get to stop working hard because somebody else is working hard and they're going to make you have to do it, or you're just going to have to accept that you're not the best and you're not going to be.
That's right. Yeah. With the sport like this, where there's such a low barrier of entry, you know, I can give 4 bags to anyone and anybody can throw 4 bags in the hole as long as they put enough, you know, time and effort into it. It's just different, you know, and with this sport, yeah, the best you can do is throw 4 bags in the hole. And what we have to try to do is throw every bag in the hole forever for the rest of our lives.
You can't control what that person beside you put, what they put in the hole. That's another thing. While we're back on that, is I try to tell people, you know, don't worry about what the guy beside you does or the girl beside you does. She may throw a 4-bagger every time. She may throw a 10 every time, but you're not going to score on that 10 unless your 4 bags go in the hole. So
that's right.
Whether she puts up a blocker or whether however she or he plays, you still have one goal, and that's to get all 4 of your bags in that hole. Whether it's airmail them, roll them, push through, you better get your butt home and practice on which one you can do the best, nail it down, and then get your butt back on the boards and put your bags in the hole, because that's what your job is.
That's right.
Heck yeah. Do your job.
Yeah, do your job.
It. Trusted process, man.
That's right. Yeah. I do want to say, just because, you know, the ACL gets so much criticism on their divisions, I just want to bring up the ACO for a moment. I'm not going to knock the ACO because I support everybody playing cornhole, get in where you fit in. Mm-hmm. And I encourage everybody that plays ACL, for me, to also play ACO. Figure out what you like, what you don't like, then play where you're comfortable. And I remember what turned me off about the ACO was I had just started playing. I've been playing like 4 or 5 months. I won a blind draw that week, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to this regional, and it's cool, boy. I just won this blind draw up here at the VFW, you know. So I go to the regional. I walk in. I pay my money for singles, for doubles, for blind draw, and singles was first. Singles was first, and I paid for everything. And I was still riding the high from the blind draw that week. And I walked in, signed up, first ACO event ever, and I played Josh Glover. My first game at ACO regional ever. That's what I get. Like, so
okay, so I'm 0-1. What now?
Yeah. Who do I got next? Like, is the losers bracket easier? And it wasn't. So that's what I wasn't scared of competition, but I do believe everybody needs to face that competition. Yep. But not everybody can just be thrown to the wolves and survive. Like I was weak. I would have got chewed up and spit out everything. That's where my 0-2 nickname came from. Like, So I encourage everybody to play both, but the fact that your beginners can truly be in a division by themselves, learn the sport, because it's a big family. You know, they're learning, they're growing, they're getting to meet people, and they're learning new bags. Like, everybody, you know, the crave is once you start throwing, then you get hooked on the bags, and then you start getting a bunch of bags, and everybody goes through the bag process. Rob owns the bags. The bag man. Like, he comes to the blind draw, and it's like, the bag man's here, the bag man. But I just encourage everybody to play both. But the criticism that we get for trying to do our best to keep everything separate and divided on even playing fields, don't hate on so much that you don't know about, because there's so many guys behind the scenes and they're doing everything they can to perfect the software and the system. And I'm telling you, it's right around the corner from perfect. And when it's perfect, if anybody complains, then you just tell them, hey, you go back to the backyard, stay at home. I don't even want you to donate your money anymore. Your complaining's not worth it, because I'm telling you, it's that close to perfect, and they're doing a great job with it.
Yeah. And just to piggyback off what you said, Craven, yes, I agree with you. People should play both. They should play ACO, they should play ACL. But one thing I will say that ACL does have over the ACO is that division. You can show up and you've got a good shot at, if you can get into a division where you truly fit in, then you have a shot. You have a puncher's chance of getting in there and knocking it out, But dude, I'm like you, man. We did not have an ACL presence. You and I, when we first started partnering, and it was ACO, and we went to, we did our regionals and locally here, which of course, we have studs, around our areas. And so it's always an uphill battle. And so we were so thankful when when we finally got a presence, and you're the director, and that's awesome. And I know your heart is all about growing the sport, which I love, because, it has never been about money for you. And so, I put a lot more value in your opinion, because I know that you're not trying to grow the sport because you're trying to line your pockets. You're trying to grow the sport because you love this sport and you want it to grow. And for me, you got a much better chance of growing that sport in an ACL event than you do in an ACO event. And it's just because of divisions, man. When we went to Tupelo, to our first regional, it's like you get into pool play ACO and you play
the major, our
first major when we went, and gosh. It's like 0-2. We don't make it out of pool play. And back then they didn't even have tiers. Yeah. And of course, tiers now don't have any money related to them. You just get the bragging rights of winning tier 2 or winning tier 3. But you're absolutely right. It can be so discouraging because they seed you where it's like top playing bottom, And so I don't have the points, and I don't have the ability, and I go in and I just get wrecked. And it can be demoralizing to drive 2 or 3 hours to an event to go 0-2 in doubles, 0-2 in singles, 0-2 in blind draw, and you're home. It's like, okay, it's just, it can be demoralizing. And I remember you talked about, getting Glover your first ACO regional. I remember one in particular I go to, and the first game I got was Maddie McBride. I was like, awesome. So I get to play Maddie. Yeah. And of course it's funny because she was a unit back then, and she's so much better now. But of course I lost to her, and I'm like, okay, let's see what we could do in the losers bracket. Caitlin Ham. I was like, seriously, I get Maddie and then Caitlin, and then I'm asking Caitlin, I'm like, who the hell beat you, Caitlin? But
the kitty girls got you. Got by the kitty girls.
Kitty girls got me.
They'll get you,
man. They will get you. But back to it, it's like, not having those divisions, it just hurts so bad. I mean, luckily it was local, so I was able to get home quick, But yeah, I think ACL, for all the things that people want to complain about ACL, they are trying. They are trying more than anyone else to open this sport up to anyone who wants to play. And I find that admirable. And I think that, like you said, you need to just, before you really start complaining about the way things are run, just take a step back, look at it and say that they're trying to make this the most hospitable place for people to come and play of all skill levels. So yeah. And guys like you behind the scenes are doing everything you can to make sure everybody's in the right place. And you can only hide for so long before you get bumped, moved up, whatever, either by a director or by the ACL itself, because they see what you're doing. You can't hide it. The numbers don't lie. So anyway, that's all I'd say about that.
That's awesome, guys. Yeah, guys, thanks so much for listening. We really hope that you were able to get some value out of this conversation today. Justin, this would not have been possible without you. There's no way we would have got, this good of information out of this episode. And so, yeah, I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you just being an awesome friend to my dad, and we hope to have you back at some point, man.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate y'all having me out, and I'm glad it was a hot topic because I just dealt with this topic last night at my regional, so it was fresh on my mind. So it's great to get on here and talk about it and get to go over a few things because I don't like to vent, but being able to explain my side of it and the ACL side of it, that's kind of like me saying, all right, I'm not sitting there defending anything, but here's what's going on. It's not just to snap your fingers, boom, boom, you're up, you're down. It's a process. Trust the process. They're working on it. They got people that are behind the scenes, that are behind those scenes, that are behind those scenes, that are working on it. So before you doubt it, just reach out to your local rep or your regional director. And if they can't help you and square you away on it, reach out to me. I'll give you all the information you need on it. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome, man. So. Yeah. Here at the Flop, we're not concerned about complaining about other people. Just put in the work. We say it every single week. Just put in the work, outwork everybody, trust the process. Thanks for listening to another episode. We'll hit you again with more cornhole content next week. And see ya.
See you.
See you guys.